Hey, this is Peggy with Easy Peasy Machine Embroidery, and today I am in my Sonnet Platinum and I am working on a St. Patrick's Day candle mat. And here's a big shout out to the ladies of 146 in New Hartford, New York. Um, right here is the candle mat that we were working on in class. So let's take a look. This is what the candle mat actually looks like, and it was nothing more than a bunch of super designs and some shapes thrown in there. So, first of all, we're going to start out with a blank canvas, and I'm going to go ahead and just pull down a 100 by 100 standard hoop, and I'm going to say OK. And I'm going to bring up the super design. I am in the category of holidays. And I'm going to drop down the menu so I can see them all. And I'm going to set a 120. Actually, my hoop is a size 100, so I better go with a size 90. Okay, there's my design. And I'm going to go into modify. So I'm going to say yes there. And I can isolate one clover two different ways. I can do a box select as long as it doesn't look like it's going to interfere with any other design. So there is, I'm going to do a Control C for copy. And I'm going to do a new window. Blank canvas. And I'm going to go ahead and use that 100 by 100 frame again and do a Control V. All I'm doing is making some different size clovers. So we're going to call it a 90 clover. That tells me the size of the clover. I'm going to hit delete on that one. If I go down to my bottom taskbar, I can see that I have two windows open. So I'm going to click on the first window. I'm going to go home and delete the design I had there. Open up the super design again. This time I'm going to say 70. And I'm going to go ahead and isolate by doing a point select this time. Point select will allow you to get closer to the design, and usually if you are really close between two designs, it'll allow you to get closer to the design you want to isolate without grabbing parts of the other design. So copy, and we're going to go ahead and grab our other window, and now we're going to do a file export, and we're going to call this one 70 clover because that's the size, and we're going to delete that. We're going to go back to the first window, home, delete, super design, and now we're going to do, let's try a 45 and apply there. Go to modify. Make sure you're boxed in when you go to modify. And again, point select. I'm going to grab this one this time. Copy. Oops, see, I'm missing part of that clover. So I'm going to click outside, and I'm going to do another point select, and I'm going to grab that bottom one and do a Control C, and it looks like I got the whole clover that time. and I am going to grab that other window, Control V, and File, Export. And this is my third clover, and I'm going to call it 45 clover. Okay. I quite often will take parts and pieces of different designs that way, and I will keep them all in a folder called doodads. And I use those little doodads inside of all kinds of other borders. So anyway, I can get rid of that window. Don't need it. We go home. I can actually get rid of that. And now I am going to use the 260 by 260 hoop because I want a 10-inch candle mat. If you only have the 200 by 200 quilter's hoop, that's only an 8-inch candle mat, so you would choose that. Whichever hoop, it needs to be a square. So here we are. I have the 260 by 260 open. I'm going to go into the Create. I'm going to go into Digitizing. Here I'm going to hit Cancel. I'm going to go into Quick Create. And I'm going to pick a shape. And it's number 49. I am going to turn off my pattern fill by clicking in the top of that box, or you can bring the arrow down and just say no fill. And I like to do a running stitch to start out with, and I can change those over later. So what I'm going to do is just hit the shape, and if I hold down the Control, and I always do that wrong because I'm used to doing it in Premiere. If you hold down the Control button and you want to take it out to just the last row of boxes, and we're good to go there. And then we're going to do a Control C and a Control V. And we're going to do that. Actually, I'm going to do it 4 times. Now, when I was teaching this in class yesterday, I forgot to mention one thing. Some of you are going to want a background on this design. So this one right here is going to end up being your background. So this running stitch is going to stitch your fabric down. And I like to use color changes to separate the different parts of a design. So I'm going to just pick any old color. The second running stitch is actually going to be we're going to change that by right clicking and going into properties, and we're going to switch that over to a double stitch, and that can be left at 1.5 for stitch length. That's actually, you're going to place a piece of batting or Insulbright on the back side of your hoop, and it's going to you're also going to place your the fabric that you want on the back and tape it with the right sides, the wrong sides towards the hoop. Okay, and then you're going to run this running stitch, and it's going to stitch it all together. Okay, and then so we're going to say okay, and that's going to change it over into that double stitch. So that's going to stitch everything together. And you're saying, but wait, where are the shamrocks? We'll add those in a bit. Okay, so now we're going to insert a color change. And I'm going to just add another color. So this one is going to be a properties. We're going to do a motif line. We're going to be in the group of Husqvarna Viking. We are going to be in applique stitches, number 4. We are going to reverse them with a height of 6. And we're going to apply, and we're going to look at it and see, does that suit us? If we want them a little longer, we can say, let's look and see what 7 looks like, and on and on. Right here, there is a little line, but that can actually be cut off later because we're going to cut that whole design away from some water soluble stabilizer. So it's okay. And then we're going to do insert color change again. And again, I'm going to just pick any random color. And that last stitch is actually going to be a satin line. So that's kind of going to seal up the edges. I'm going to do a 3.5 there. You could do a 4 if you wanted to. It depends on what stabilizer I'm using, but with water-soluble stabilizer, 3.5 should be good. Alrighty. Now, I generally like to do a file save as just for kicks and giggles. And I am in my video St. Pat's folder. I can call it CandleMat. And we're going to close it out, and it ends up in our regular embroidery screen. There are our 4 colors. Now we are going to go ahead and we're going to go into Super Design, and let's try a 40, and we can bring that down here, and we're going to do a copy and a paste and a paste. Remember, your triangles are your flippers. And we're going to do that every other box. And then we're going to go ahead and do an insert. And let's try the size. That is going to be too small. So let's do the insert, the size 90 clover. The 70 looks bigger than the 90. And you can resize those accordingly when you do it yourself. We're going to do a copy, a paste, and a paste. And you're going to move them around accordingly. The little ball, the little circle allows you to rotate. The triangles allow you to flip. And I am going to do one more thing. I am going to insert. And I am going to rotate this so the stem is kind of outward. Remember to use your zoom tool. The zoom tool is your friend. And zoom to fit will bring it back to full size. We're going to go to Encore. Remember, we could do lines or encore around the hoop, but we're going to do a circle today. And we're going to do a circle of 6 and say preview. We can stretch it out a little bit by left clicking and dragging. We could also use this oval to turn it into an oval. When we like what we have to hit apply, otherwise it's not going to do anything. And it is grouped. The last thing that I would do here is I would start looking at how this design is going to play out. So the machine is going to stitch out exactly the same order as it falls here. So it's going to go from this hat to this hat to this hat to this clover to this clover to this clover. If you want to keep that same type of clockwise thing, you can left click and drag one above the other to position them as you wish. Now, another thing I would do here is I would hold down the Shift key and highlight all the clovers. Notice how on the last slide they're already grouped, and I'm just going to highlight them all because they're all the same color, and I'm going to say combine selected. Then I'm going to go home and I'm going to say color sort, and all those green clovers that I just grouped together are all going to stitch out. And you're not going to have to change colors in between. And now we are going to go to combine all. Now, I want you to take one last look at the slide number 1. So we have the blue, the pink, the variegated, and then the hot peony. So we're going to combine all. So they're still in the same order. So we have the placement line is the blue. So that is going to stitch your fabric to the stabilizer. And then we have the floral pink, and that would stitch the background on. Now we don't want all of the clovers and stuff to show up on the background. So what we're going to do is number 2, 3, and 4, we're going to move to the bottom. So we need to box this in. We need to go to modify, and we're going to say number 2. we're going to do number 4, and I'm going to move it to the bottom just by taking to the arrow. Okay, now it's in the last position. And then I'm going to take number 3, and I'm going to move it down to the next to last position. Okay, and then I'm going to go back up, and I'm going to grab number 2, and I'm going to move it into the third from last position. There we go. Okay, and that should be good. So now what we're going to do is go to the home. We're going to go into Design Player, and we're going to play it. So here is the stitch down of the fabric onto the water-soluble stabilizer, and you would trim that away at some point. Just the fabric, not the stabilizer. And now you're going to put the pictures on there. And now, let's back up a little bit. So now you've got just, okay, it looks like it's in the wrong order. We've got a motif line stitch in first, which actually isn't gonna hurt anything. But that pink I want before the blue. So I'm gonna back up. So I want the pink, let's see. I have to think about this for a second. So the blue stitched first. I think that's okay. And there's a reason why. If you look real close, that's going to stitch over that line. And you can't see it because I think it's probably closer the same color. Okay. And when that when it stitches all the layers together, you have to remember to trim the back side before you do that satin stitch. Okay? Now, I am going to do one more thing. I am going to do a Control Z until I see everything showing up there, because I want to make sure that this slide 1 remains a digital a file that I can go back in and digitize. So I'm going to do a file. I'm going to do a save as, a VP4 CandleMat EDO. That's going to allow me to go back in. That's really weird. File, save as, St. Pat's. I'm just going to leave it untitled for now. I don't know why it was asking me to sign in. I don't have the subscription. So, that's going to allow me to go back in and still go in. If I want to, I can edit it in digitizing. And let me show you something else. You can add a stop. So you can say insert stop after that color change. Right click over that stop, go to properties, and you can say place batting and fabric on back of hoop and tape down. So you've got an instruction there. So that's a double stitch, and then the motif line and the satin line, the stitch, the motif line. You can also, at this point, you can say properties. And remember, the other thing is it's always going to add it below whatever slide is highlighted. So I am, what did I do? I'm going to do properties. No. I'm going to say insert stop. And now I'm going to go to properties. And now I'm going to say trim round applique or trim around, trim on, trim the fabric on backside. Okay, and then it's going to do your motif line, and then it's going to do your satin line around everything, and now you're good to go. Okay, and again, I am going to do an export. I'm going to do a save as. There's the CandleMat. That EDO is saved just in case. And we're going to do this. It's going to hold those so that when I do, and we're going to do a save as also here because we did make some changes. And now we're going to do an export. When I'm working on things in the hoop, I always take color sort off. And we're good to go. So we call it Final CandleMat. Now I'm going to show you one more thing. I'm going to combine everything. And we're going to go print. And now I'm going to go to page 2. And I'm going to go into the zoom tool. And you can actually see on your directions or on your color information where it's going to tell you that that stop there after color number 2 is where you're going to place that batting and fabric on the back of that hoop and tape it down. And it's going to stitch around it, and then it's going to stop again, and it's going to trim the fabric on the back side. Okay? So that's how I did the St. Patrick's CandleMat. Remember, if you want to keep these videos coming, to like and subscribe to this channel and leave me a comment. If you need something done in Premiere Plus, I can probably make you up a video in that also. And also, I just want to remind you that there are some other sites out there that are great for teaching the software or the machines. And here they are. Maggie's does a project from start to finish on YouTube. There's Power Tools with Thread. There's Linda Wade on Linda's Stitchins. And Phil Carlton does an awesome job also. Check out their channels. And hope you liked this video and catch you later. Bye.